Steve Ferguson here, Brant and Cochran. Would like to talk a little bit about axe care after you purchase your Brant and Cochran axe. This is my old Snow and Neely Hudson Bay axe, and as you can see, it's pretty dinged up. While we try our best not to hit things, there are times when you're going to hit nails in trees or miss and hit a rock on the ground, or maybe just some rock that's embedded in the bark of a tree. So I'm going to talk to you about how to fix this up. So the first thing is the bevel. We are using a 22.5-degree bevel on all of our axes. The standard somewhere I've heard between 18% and 25% kind of or degree bevel. 22.5 seems to be a good midpoint for establishing a bevel. And the way you can do that without a protractor is pretty simple. I'm going to call it the airplane method. It's like when we made airplanes as kids. You fold the paper. Now we have a 45. And then half of 45, if we fold it again, is 22.5. So you can tell this is kind of like those the beginning of making an airplane. And then what I did is I just cut the nose off of this thing as a reference point. This is called kind of the rag method of profiling. And what you do is you take a rag or two and you fold them to find that angle. So what I'll do is I'll stick my file on here and then stick this on here, and I notice that this is too shallow of an angle. So I'm going to add another one on top of it and then push it down. And now again, referencing this to the bench, I see that I'm more in line with about a 22.5-degree angle. It's kind of a guard. I just took a piece of leather and shoved it through here. And then what I'm going to do is take this and I'm going to go back and forth. That's my 22.5-degree. And what I'm trying to do is I'm getting out all those nicks. So this part is just fixing the nicks in the axe. You can see I got a pretty big one right here. And we're just going back and forth. And this is a bastard file. And slowly getting that out. Now I'm going to flip it over. So we'll start again. And you can see I'm just using my hands to hold this axe down. I don't have a bench vise or anything like that holding it down. It's just you're putting a lot of pressure on, but it's back and forth. And again, establishing that 22.5 degrees approximately. This is certainly not a perfect method. So now that the profiling's been done, you can see there's a kind of excessive big deep scratches in the bit. I'm going to use a Waterstone. We put our little logo on it. It's 240 and then 400. So I'm going to start at 240. It's a Waterstone, so you're going to want to have handy some kind of source of water. Couldn't find a bucket. Looks like we're using a yogurt container. And because it's now profiled at 22.5 degrees, I just want to use moderate pressure and just follow that along that edge. And with moderate pressure, it will find that edge. So you don't have to worry as much about the actual angle, because like I said, it'll follow that 22.5 that I've established. And we'll just see that some of those burrs that were in there that kind of looked a little jagged, those weren't nicks, but they were burrs from the file shavings. And it looks like I'm seeing a slight nick. It's probably that big nick that I worked so hard to resolve, but it's right there. I can see it. I'm not too concerned about it. I'm just going to let it go. But you can see that small nick. So, you might want to go back and continue in that area to just kind of file that back if you're wanting the axe to be perfect. So, and then you're just going to start feeling that edge, see how you're doing there. And you can see some of those, grooves or the grinding marks from the file are kind of going away. It's going up and down. Again, kind of moderate pressure. You want it to find the profile you've established. I am kind of doing a 22 degree, 45 would be maybe like that, half of that, but certainly not perfect. What the water does is it helps move the metal shavings along and kind of clears the metal shavings away as you're working it. So I just dunk it in every once in a while. And then you're just going to really want to do this by feel as you start feeling it to get sharp. You want to be careful and have your hands firm there so you're not getting them into the blade because she's getting sharp now. And now we'll do the old 400. Same idea. You can hear the difference in the grit. It's not as loud. You can take a leather strap, and this is called stropping. It just kind of gets the final burrs off of it. My brother always describes it as petting a kitten or a cat, with the grain. So it kind of pulls that away and smooths it out. Paper's usually a good test. Not too bad. Could be a little sharper, but she's about there. Some spots need a little work, but it's sharp enough to probably do most of what you want. Now to finish up, I'll put a little bit of camellia oil and wax on the head and rub that in with some towel here. Get it all in there to keep it from rusting. In there. Get a little surface rust down here from the water stones, but that's not going to be a big deal. And then finally, a little linseed oil for the handle. Also beeswax and linseed oil combined. So we'll put that in there, and that just keeps the handle from drying out. And this is raw linseed oil, not boiled linseed oil. If you can't find raw linseed oil at your hardware store, go to a paint store that sells exclusively paint. They often have the raw linseed. I think that's where we get it many times. So yeah, there's a little axe care for you. And then finally, this is our axe care kit that has the things that I've been using today, which are the bastard file, the honing puck with the 240 and the 400, the wax for the head, and then the wax for the handle right here. And we hide the little file down in there. But this is kind of a kit that, has everything you need in it to take care of your axe.